listening to Cowboy Logic with Jason Forby, a message of grace and hope.
Is everybody good? So how life transforming has it been for us to understand that He is love? That love is not self-seeking, and that He loves us completely unconditionally, and that He's way better than religion has ever represented Him. And so we've just dedicated our lives to say, you know what, we believed a whole bunch of mess about who you really are. And so if you'll start teaching us and showing us who you really are, we'll just start living life as your sons and daughters in discovery mode. Who cares how long it takes? I just want to know God. I want to know what you're really like. I want to know who you really are. And in the process of seeing you clearly, I get changed. Religion has you focusing on you and you changing. Anybody tried that? Won't work because your focus is on you. Once our focus gets on who are you really? What are you like really? And as I discover that, I become change out of the power of God instead of my religious effort. It's the coolest thing ever. Everybody's good. So now it's like, okay, I start to see me clearly. Now who am I, right? We read it there in Psalm 8. It's like, it says, what is man? What in the world? I mean, like, so Jason's paraphrase would be, you're God? All this, you've spoke all this, you're undescribable. You've put everything that you've made in charge of these knuckleheads? What are you thinking? What is man? That you've created him a little lower than yourself is really what it says. You've placed all of the works of your hands in his control. So it's like, man, well, we better get a clear understanding of who we actually are, right? Because we've been sitting around crying thinking God's in control. And the whole time God said, look, I was in control, but then I gave control away and you're the ones holding it. And you've been sitting around religious, sucking your thumbs, crying about all the things that's happening, not knowing that I've placed in you the answer. I've placed in you the power, produce change. Let me just read you a couple first. It says this in 2 Corinthians 4. 2 Corinthians 4 verse 13 says this, we have the same spirit of faith that is described in the scriptures when it says, first I believed, then I spoke in faith. First I believed, then I spoke in faith. So we also first believe, then speak in faith. We do this because we are convinced that He who raised Jesus will raise us up with Him, and together we will all be brought into His presence. Yes, all things work for your enrichment so that more of God's marvelous grace will spread to more and more people, resulting in an even greater increase of praise to God, bringing Him even more glory. You got it? All things work for your enrichment so that more of God's marvelous grace will spread to more and more people, resulting in an even greater increase of praise to God, bringing Him even more glory. What brings about all that? What brings about enrichment? What brings about more and more people experiencing the marvelous grace of God so that more and more praise and more glory is manifest in the earth? How does that happen? First we believe, and then we speak. Isn't that interesting? Let's read Mark 5. You know you have more power than you ever been told? Religion tried to beat you down, tell you were no good dog, you rotten sinner, you. He ought to just kill you. Religion's whole goal is to expose your failures and your weakness and to keep you beat down and lowly. When the truth of the gospel really is to elevate man back up to his original position where God created him to be to begin with. God has more faith in man than man does. Mark 5:21. When Jesus had crossed over again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and so he stayed by the seashore. One of the synagogue officials named Jairus came up and on seeing him fell at his feet and implored him earnestly, saying, everybody say saying. Fell at his feet and implored him earnestly, saying, my little daughter is at the point of death. Please come and lay your hands on her so that she will get well and live. Here's what he said. Come to my house, lay hands on my daughter, she will get well and live. And he went off with him. And a large crowd was following him and pressing in on him. Now we'll take a comma here because you guys know the story. We spent a lot of time in it. Let me just put it in simple, Jason's version, all right? The fame is growing. All this stuff's going on. And one of the synagogue leaders, his daughter, she's bad off. She's getting pretty close to dying, right? And so Jairus, he goes and finds Jesus. And he says to Jesus, if you come to my house, lay hands on my daughter, she will get well, right? And Jesus is like, okay, let's go. So they're going. And while they're going, here comes this woman that had the issue of blood, right? You guys remember the story? She interrupts them. Now imagine Jairus is like, this woman stops Jesus, and they're having this whole big thing where the woman gets healed of the issue of blood and all that, and he's having conversation. Now you got to think about Jairus is in on this deal, and he's saying, hey, we ain't got time for this. Right? So the woman's interrupted and all that, the whole thing takes place. And so then we'll jump back in. Now we're in 35. Done with the woman now, and we jump back on to Jairus. All right. So the woman gets healed. Now they take off again and says this. While he was still speaking, they came from the house of the synagogue official saying, everybody say saying, your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher anymore? But Jesus, overhearing what was being spoken, everybody say spoken, said to the synagogue official, do not be afraid any longer, only believe. Do not be afraid any longer, only believe. And he allowed no one to accompany him except Peter and James and John, the brother of James. They came to the house of the synagogue official, and he saw a commotion and people loudly weeping and wailing. And entering in, he said to them, everybody say said to them, why make a commotion and weep? The child has not died, but is asleep. They began laughing at him. But putting them all out, he took along the child's father and mother and his own companions and entered the room where the child was. Taking the child by the hand, he said to her, everybody say said to her. He said to her, Talitha Kumi, or something like that, which translated means, little girl, I say to you, I say to you, I say to you, get up. Immediately, the girl got up and began to walk, for she was 12 years old, and immediately they were completely astounded. Isn't that something? We can read by this stories real quick and not catch a whole lot of what's really being laid down, but if we pay attention to it, we can say this. Okay, here's what happened. Here comes Jairus. Jairus says to Jesus, if you come to my house, lay hands on my daughter, she will get well. Right? And then they get interrupted and time's taken too long and they waited too long, right? And then they finally get going again, and here comes the folks from the house, and they said, don't trouble Jesus anymore, your daughter is dead. Now there's more saids going on, right? There was something said, and then something contrary to the something that was said was said. When a new something was said, here's what Jesus does. It's like, I picture the story. I kind of try to put myself there. Or watch The Chosen. Y'all watch The Chosen? If you ain't watched The Chosen, you ought to watch The Chosen. So Jairus must have heard something about Jesus. Right? Jesus is famous by now. There's people getting healed, crazy stuff going on everywhere. So Jairus, he's a synagogue leader. He's probably heard all kinds of talk about what's going on, this Jesus character. Some of them love him. Some of them hate him. Some of them want to kill him. Some of them are praising him. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff going on. But somehow, right, the whole thing that got us started was Jairus must have heard something about Jesus' capabilities because he's an official. He's a church dude. He's more on the side of the religious crew than he is the tax collectors. You know what I'm saying? And in order for him to get up out of his religious clout group and say, I'm going down there to get this Jesus. I don't care about all the stuff no more. My daughter's in trouble. Ain't it something? When turmoil hits, You take that wherever you want. So he gets up and goes down there. He must have had some kind of faith in Jesus, because he says, if you come to my house, lay hands on my daughter, she'll get well, right? And so then they come and said something contrary to what he had already said. And I imagine it going like this. This is just Jason, all right? You don't have to agree with it. I just imagine it going something like this. Jairus made his statement. Jairus believed and he spoke. You got it? And this was his declaration. If you come to my house, lay hands on my daughter, she will be made well. Now, do you notice it wasn't in there that he said, if you come to my house, lay hands on my daughter before she dies? He didn't say that. He just said, you come to my house, lay hands on my daughter, she will be well, right? And so that's what he believed. That's what he spoke. And Jesus agreed to what it is that he spoke because of Psalm 8. Away they go. Here comes a different report. Hey, don't trouble Jesus anymore. Your daughter's dead. This is Jason's idea, right? I imagine that's pretty hard news to hear, wouldn't you? I imagine the potential for Jairus to be disheartened would be pretty high, wouldn't you? Don't just read it like a story. Let's think about this. I imagine that's a pretty strenuous, stressful thing to hear, wouldn't you? Because my hope is in him, and we got hung up now. This could all be going on in Jairus' mind. I can imagine Jesus overheard what they said. I imagine Jesus, whoop, whoop, shh, shh. Jairus, don't be afraid anymore. Only believe. I imagine he's, shh, 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 shh. You already believed. You already spoke. Let's not undo it. What they say has no effect on what we have going. Come on, you guys with me? Only believe. Or say it like this: keep believing in what you've already declared and what we've already agreed on. Don't let what someone else has to say affect where you're at. You got it? And so now they keep going. And they get there, and they say all the commotion, the weeping, the wailing, all that's going on. Now imagine, this is Jairus' daughter. It's not a great day. Jesus, crazy Jesus, he says, what are y'all doing? Why are you doing all this? He said, well, she's dead. And Jesus says, she's not dead. Well, what's Jesus understand that we're trying to understand? There's power in what you say. You got it? She's not dead. She's only sleeping. And then he says, daughter, get up. And she does what he says. Interesting, huh? Because we're already in this deal where we're saying, okay, if we want to get the results that Jesus got, we need to be doing it the way Jesus did it. Jesus didn't say, okay, let's light some candles and gather around and join hands. We're going to beseech the Father, see what His will might be here for this deal today, and then we're going to go through all the formulas and fast and pray and do what all we can do to see if we might get the Father to move today. No. He understood who He was. He understood how things work. He believed. Therefore He spoke. And He got whatever it is that He said. Is this something or what? Here Jairus laid out the stipulations that Jesus was going to work with. Isn't that right? Jairus laid out the stipulations that Jesus went to work with. We can read the whole passage if we wanted to, where we say Jairus said, hey, if you come to my house, lay hands on my daughter, she'll be made well. While they're going, here comes the woman with the issue of blood, right? She said, if I just touch his clothes, I'll get well. Following this story, the Roman centurion said, hey, you don't even got to come to the house. You just say the word from here and my servant be healed. What's happening here? Psalm 8. It's like God's saying, hey, you decide how it's going to be. You lay out the stipulations. You believe what you believe because of what it is that you've heard. Say, so let's just decide what you believe, speak what you believe, and then you'll give me something to work with. I think part of the problem is we've been so religious, we've just had this thing of, well, God's in control. We don't know. Oh, it sounds noble, don't it? Well, whatever God wants for me, guess He'll, whatever the will of God is for me, I'll just live. The whole time God's saying, I need you to have a say in it. I need you to have a part in it. It's like Jesus is saying, look, however you lay it out is what I'm bound to operate by. However you decide it needs to go is what I'm bound to carry it out that way. Come on, you can see it all over. Jesus would walk by some blind guys and say, hey, what do you guys want me to do for you? Duh, Jesus. They're blind. Wouldn't it be obvious? What's He doing? I need you to say it. I need to know what you want because my capabilities are tied to what you want, and you decide and you lay out the stipulations and I'll operate by them. He went to the guy that's laid by the water all that time, 38 years or something. He said, do you want to get well? Why is he asking all that? Because of Genesis 1, which is laid out in Psalm 8, I've put all authority in man's hands. I've bound myself to operate according to how He believes me to operate, and I'm going to do it according to the way He lays out, and I've given man say in this whole deal. And so I'm just saying maybe we should start believing something. Lay it out there. How do we believe it? What have we seen? This is why testimonies are so important. I've heard about this guy that goes to people's houses and lay hands on people's daughters, and they get well when he does that. It said in there, after the woman got healed from touching his clothes, a chapter or so later, it said that Jesus went somewhere, it was famous, you couldn't even get in the house. They kept bringing all the sick people to him so that they could touch his clothes. What happened? They heard something. They believed what they heard, and they laid out a stipulation, and if they met the stipulation, then the power of God was turned loose and released. You got what I'm saying? So I'm saying it doesn't matter really to God. He say, you come to my house, lay hands. Okay. Touch his clothes. Okay. Say the word. Okay. And we're sitting around with no stipulations or no, we don't know. Well, we don't know. Whatever God wants, whatever the way God wants to do it. No, let's decide this is how it's going to be. We believe in communion. If you believe, okay, what if I just believe? Okay, I'm going to get healed by taking communion. Okay, I'm going to get healed by coming to church and listen to Norman Mack beat on them drums and play that piano. Okay. Jason, lay hands on me. Okay. However, stand on your head and spin 3 circles. Okay. Just believe something. Believe something about what you've heard about the capabilities of God, and then speak that thing and lay out the stipulations and watch the power of God start to produce in our lives and change situations. You guys got it? I don't know about you, but I'm gullible. Leave me alone. I like being gullible. Somebody said, if you do this, you'll get healed. Okay. All right, I'll do it. They change everything, right? They said eggs were bad for you. Now eggs are good for you. What is it? Coffee's bad. No, coffee's good. No, the sun's killing us. No, now you need the sun. Right? It's like, wait a minute. What? Let's just believe whatever it is we believe. Don't just be like, I don't know, so not work. No, I'm going to do that, but by golly, it's going to work, and I'm coming through this thing. You got what I'm saying? Let's believe in what we believe in. Decide what we believe in. Said, I've got a hand in this thing. I'm going to lay out the stipulations. I've decided. You guys got it? You got more say than you've been told you got. You guys got it? Don't be so caught up on all the details and all that. I mean, it can be as general. I don't know. If I need healing in my body, I'm going to say, you know what? It's the will of God for me to be healed. By His stripes I'm healed. I mean, He's given us a book full of what to say, what to believe. I mean, He's just showed us over and over all these stories of what Jesus has done for people, what Jesus has accomplished, and even we've added our own stories. I remember one time we were over there at High Point. We were having a healing school. People were getting healed like crazy, and so I remember one lady, I don't even know her, she wanted us to get her back healed. She had some back thing, right? And so she got healed right there. We spoke to her back, and her back got healed. And Denny is there on a trip now. They're not here this morning, but Denny was sitting like 5 rows back behind her. I didn't even know Denny had a back problem, but when her back got healed, Denny's back got healed. Nobody even said nothing to Denny. Nobody laid hands on Denny. And so Denny got it, but he got a different way than that lady. He believed a different thing than that. But anyway, he gets healed. And so that was on a Monday night. His back's healed like 30 years or something crazy where he couldn't lift stuff. He couldn't bend over. He couldn't do all this stuff for 30 some years. Bad back. He was, and so he's healed. Now he's doing everything. He's doing all that he wants to do. Completely healed. And so Thursday night at Cowboy Church, we told what happened. That the lady got healed. Her back got healed. Denny's back got healed. And then when we told that story, I think we was just telling it like during the announcements or something, and there was somebody else, first time they'd ever been there. I think they'd been in a car wreck or something. Their back was hurting. Their back got healed. From hearing. When this one heard about this one, that one got healed. When they heard about that one getting healed, now this one got healed. And so then after church was telling me about that, so then the next week I told it again about that one got healed, now this one got healed. Somebody else got healed. My dad's back got healed. We had so many backs healed for so long. Anybody in here need their back healed today? It's like you could drive by on 37 and get your back healed. We had so many people's backs getting healed. It's like, well, what was happening? We were hearing something. And when we started hearing something, we started believing something. The more you heard it, the more you believed it. We kept telling it. We could say, backs are getting healed like crazy. We're just saying, if you can't come in here without your back getting healed. Now see, we missed it. We can read it in the thing and we can say, well, they says, so-and-so said, Jason just said. Norma read it in Psalm 8. The Message translation says, a baby's gurgling is praises to God and shuts Satan's mouth. A baby's gurgling is praise to God and shuts Satan's mouth. So what do we believe? It's time to decide. Put some, at the risk of sounding, whatever the risk is, I'm going to sound anyway. It's time we put some demands on the kingdom of God. God's a big boy and He's not going to be offended. In fact, God and the kingdom and all of the servants in the kingdom are chomping at the bit for the sons and daughters of God to find out who they are and what they have. And they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs saying, I wish they'd say something true. Because if they'd say something true and they'd start believing something different, they'll start speaking something different. And when they believe something and speak something, we'll have something to produce and something to accomplish and something to do. The trouble is we've tried speaking because, we've heard, word of faith, or, we still had religion in our hearts. Hearts were full of condemnation, shame, guilt, all that stuff. And then we say, okay, we're going to try it, confess some scripture, and then say, it didn't work. It's because it's not what you really believed. It's because there was a disconnect between who you are, what you have, and what it is that you're saying. Look, when what you're saying doesn't line up with what it is that you really believe, nothing going on. That's considered a lie. I'm saying, even if what you're saying is the truth of God, listen to me, don't confuse this right here. You ready? Even if what you're saying is the truth of God, if it's not the truth that's in you, it's still a lie.
Please follow and share this message. And for more information, visit srcowboychurch.com.